Okay. So, welcome back to Voices of Color, Scadian Stories. This is our season 2 finale. So I'm here with Jessica and Gigi, my original co-hosts, and we're starting right where we picked off at the beginning of the year. But before I do, the disclaimer: Voices of Color is not endorsed by or affiliated with Society for Creative Anachronism, Incorporated. The views of the host and guests do not represent the views, values, or policies of SCA Inc. It's really important for us tonight that you all understand what we share today are our personal experiences, our feelings, our emotions, our opinions. They are in no way related to anyone else in our life, our chosen family, friends, partners, that we are coming into this space as our authentic and true selves and giving you all an opportunity to join us in this space and hopefully take something away from it. Every time we have guests on this show, it takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of work. You are on screen being vulnerable for everyone to see. And oftentimes, I know when I get done with the show, it's this emotional baggage that I have to work to kind of put off, because this is life. This is real life for us. Like I've said on many shows previously, our lives don't stop at the gate. We don't have garb we can take off to suddenly be, white people. This is the skin that we walk in every single day. And sometimes, it's easy to say, well, that's shaped everything that you do, and now it's all about race. And y'all don't walk in our shoes, right? I just want to remind you that y'all don't walk in our shoes. A lot of the times, people make assumptions about what we go through, and this is us letting you know what we experience. So my name is Nina. I'm going to pass it to my co-hosts to introduce themselves.
I'm Jessica. I used to be the first corporate DEI officer for the SCA.
Hi, I'm Gigi. I live at Ontier. In the SCA, I'm known for arts and service. Mundanely, I was a project manager. I'm retired now. I was a project manager, an environmental planner, and I managed billion-dollar water resource projects for the federal government. I also worked on diversity initiatives and program management and strategic planning.
So I think what's important tonight is that we talk about what DEI is and what DEI isn't. So I'll kind of start and kick us off. Diversity, equity, and inclusion are 3 very different things, but are very intertwined and need to engage with each other in order to be successful and implement successful programs and have welcoming space. So diversity is one that most people know about. Diversity of different cultural identities. And I use the word culture overall. So we have race, ethnicity, it can be religion, it can be veteran status. There's a whole umbrella of identities that fit under here. Some are visible, some are invisible. And having diversity is, in all organizations, the studies show, right? It creates a healthy environment. You have diversity of experiences, gives different viewpoints, different abilities to bring in input from the communities most impacted by inequities within a system. So diversity is something everyone should strive for. Equity does not mean equal. Equity is giving everyone, every individual, what they need to succeed. So typically we're talking about succeed in life. So if you have a room full of people, instead of handing out shoes that are all size 17, you provide each person with the size shoe that they need so they can, go do whatever, have their feet covered, I don't know, making sure their toes aren't cold. But that's what equity is, making sure everybody has exactly what they need to be successful. And when we talk about inclusion, that's one that's harder for people to understand. And the reason I say it's harder for people to understand is because most of the time people don't go through the process of inclusion correctly. Inclusion means that from the beginning, whether it's decision-making, whether it's processes, whatever the case may be, hiring, recruitment, retention, that the groups of people who are sitting around the table represent groups in the community, are engaged throughout the process actively, not performative, are given opportunities to participate and engage in the decision-making process. There's also an aspect of having a feedback loop. So if something isn't working, we need to hear from these communities again why it's not working. So inclusivity really looks like everyone has a voice at the table because everyone's sitting around the table. And we are centering the voices of those most impacted by inequities, most harmed by inequities, because that is ultimately what we are trying to do in order to create a welcoming environment, whether it's a workplace, whether it's society, whatever, church, what have you, that everyone is engaged, everyone is active, everyone is listened to, everyone is validated. So that's DEI in a nutshell. It looks different within organizations. So I wanted to pass it to Jessica to talk a little bit about what DEI is within the framework of the society.
Thanks. I love that. Keep their little toesies warm. So the SCA is a very unique organization. It's a very unique space. And in some ways, we really mirror what happens in other organizations at various levels. And in some ways, we are very unique and very different. One of the things that I truly believe about DEI work in the SCA is that it needs to be proactive rather than reactive. And what that looks like is making a space that is welcoming for a variety of marginalized and underserved populations before they come to you and say, I can't participate, and here is why. It looks like making accessible events, right? It looks like training people to understand when there could be a potential DEI issue. It looks like doing research ahead of time to identify common pitfalls and then doing what you can to address them. And while there will always be elements of reactivity in DEI work, if you have not put the thought into making sure that you have addressed as many things as possible in advance, then you've set yourself up to fail. And you failed to give DEI the importance that it deserves. As the SCA has grown, I think it's become more important than ever that we really look at the ways we exclude people before they even show up, the ways we reach and don't reach communities, the way we don't retain people. Because surely, if you look at your demographics and you see some of the homogeneity across a variety of different marginalizations, different groups, we can identify that there's a problem and we can start working to solve the problem before it becomes threatening to the life of our organization. So I think for the SCA in particular, the focus needs to be on analyzing where we are, identifying the issues that a lot of folks have actually brought up time and time again, and working on ways to address them. And that does mean, as Nina pointed out, working collaboratively with the groups that have already put these issues forward again and again.
Gigi, did you want to add anything and maybe talk about, you were the first BOD member in there really pushing equity work and paving the way for Jessica in that position. So do you want to talk a little bit about what DEI is in that space and how you experience the work?
I think Jessica covered a lot of it. I can add that when I stepped into my role at the corporate office, other people who were at that level acknowledged that there was a white supremacy problem in the SCA. And I think we have to keep in mind that equity and inclusion isn't just for equity and inclusion's sake. It is typically an answer to white supremacy, right? It is a way to get away from ableism, sexism, racism, genderism, homophobia, patriarchal hierarchy, right? So with the SCA already understanding that there is an issue, right? And the issue is laid bare in our demographics and in the types of complaints that we get from our participants. That moving towards being more equitable and inclusive is a way for us to survive and hold true to our ideals of chivalry, which is courtesy, kindness, and egalitarianship. The SCA says that it is holding the ideas of chivalry at the utmost, like at the highest. And so for us to really hold true to those ideals, it is to get away from being ableist, racist, sexist, genderist. And I think that it's a good move. I think that it's time for that move. And I think that enough people in the SCA understand that white supremacy, we've had enough of it and we've suffered from it. So we want to move to something else. And I'm happy that people can see that. I will say that one issue that we have when equity and inclusion is brought up is that people become uncomfortable with dealing with the racism, the sexism, the genderism, right? And that poses a host of problems that I think we're going to get into a little bit today. It doesn't mean that equity and inclusion is the problem. White supremacy is the problem. Racism is the problem. Sexism is the problem. Equity and inclusion isn't the problem. Equity and inclusion may make you uncomfortable because it makes you have to face that those were problems that you want to move away from. But we're adults. We can face hard facts and move through these conversations.
I'm going to bring up an example that I know has a lot of potentially, well, it's something that's political and it has really divided the SCA. Trimgate. When Trimgate happened, I saw a lot of my chosen community just go like, what is happening? I didn't know this, you know, this has never been brought up. A lot of people had these reactions of not my SCA, but it was there, because I can tell you from day one, probably even before that, that racism was real, that sexism was real, that there was transphobia and homophobia running rampant. But I think when you really uncover it, sometimes it takes something like Trimgate to uncover it. And oftentimes that's why when we see change in organizations or these big, huge things such as lawsuits, but it's been there. It's not always apparent to everyone. And so when the curtain is pulled, right, when the man behind Oz is formally introduced, people are uncomfortable, people are hurt, people are upset that this isn't what they signed up for. And it's always been there. I mean, I don't think anybody can deny that the SCA is known for white supremacy. Like, there have been articles about it. Like, we can't say that it doesn't have a reputation. And it's not just the SCA. I mean, there's other LARP communities and breakoffs of the SCA, but we can't deny it. I mean, we just can't. We can't turn the other way anymore, because good people are being constantly harmed. So I just wanted to throw that out there, that it can be uncomfortable to have that kind of veil lifted and it doesn't change the fact that it was always there. Kind of switching gears. Oh, Gigi?
And I just want to add that we've had enough people on this show that talk about their experience in the SCA to know that this is not a one-off. It's not just my experience or Nina's experience or Jessica's experience. Every person of color that we have ever talked to on this show has gone through racism. The three of us, though, experience a particular type of racism in the SCA that's called misogynoir. So I want to make sure we maybe give a definition to this right off the bat. Misogynoir is a type of racism that is directed at Black women, right? It's the intersectionality of racism and sexism, and it's specific to Black women. And the three of us can talk about it ad nauseum. But that is one of the things that I think we're probably going to cover a little bit tonight. So it's dislike of, contempt for, or an ingrained prejudice against Black women. That's all I have.
Well, and I want to bring back to something that I talk about in almost every class I do. Like, we have biases. Everybody does. If you think you don't, you need a reality check. Biases are a product of the way that our brains process information. It's derived from our survival instincts, and it's the categorization of information within our brains, within our memories, that is stored, that we retrieve and is often wrong, right? So it's influenced by our perceptions, our experiences, our social circles, our social networks, but we all have bias. The difference is we see, and studies show, that within the DEI world, the people who are change agents tend to be people of color. The last statistics that I saw were almost exclusively, or primarily, I should say, it's probably changed now, women of color who have an entirely different experience than men of color. That's not to say one is worse than the other. That's just to say it is. And so you have 3 women of color, I also identify as queer with invisible disabilities, sitting here saying, like, this is shit. Like, this is hard. Sorry. I'm just going to go there, like, because I do this for a living. And then to come into the SCA, you know, people say leave your politics out the door. We want to. We absolutely want to. I want to go to the SCA. I want to drink. I want to put on my little costume. I want to, you know, put pearls in my hair, put the veil on, and have just a good time. But we can't, and we won't, until we have an inclusive, equitable, welcoming atmosphere. And if there's any other doubt about the fact that we still don't have equity, look at some of the other shows that are popping up about non-dominant fighters. I'm drawing a blank on the word, gender diverse fighters. So non-cis, hetero, all of that. So gender non-binary, gender non-conforming, transgender, female. I mean, all of the other identities that exist out there and the struggles that they've had. So this is not just isolated to one area, but when it comes to the DEI world, it does tend to be more focused.
I feel like I should just like take this entire glass as like a shot.
Yes.
Like this is so this is absolutely probably the hardest episode for me personally, because so much of what we're talking about has been very central to not only my life for the last 3 years, 3.5, but the way that my SCA experiences were constructed. For those who don't really know me, I started in the SCA. I got my AOA in 2017, the same year I started. I took the DEI job mid 2019. So I'd been in the SCA for about 2 and something years. And then I took this role, and it has been the majority of my time in the SCA. So about 3 weeks ago, I was about 2 months past the end of my warrant. And I was informed that I would not be extended. So right now, there is not a DEI officer in the SCA. You will still see my name on the website. That is just because it wasn't updated. There has not been a DEI officer for the last 3 weeks. Now, this was very hurtful to me. But I think more importantly, I think that there's an issue with the DEI office when it is being treated as kind of an afterthought. I think it takes it into a space of performativity. There was a post about my leaving the office, but I will be very clear in that I was not given the time to reach out to anyone. So I apologize that several of the people I worked with are finding out like this. My email was taken away from me the same day, so I could not reach out. I don't know the thinking, and I'm not going to guess, but I will say that it was very hard. It was 3.5 years of my life. It was probably one of the hardest things that I've ever done, and I felt very dismissed. There's something very unique about DEI work in this organization. There's other roles, and they're all very important. But DEI is not like a herald or a marshal or anything like that, where the work is really very emotionally uninvolved most of the time. All of the jobs are very stressful and very frustrating and important, but they're different. The things that people would bring to me were, for a lot of them, some of the worst moments of their experiences in the SCA. People would come to me with their vulnerabilities, their worries about their safety, their ability to participate at all. People didn't say things to me. They sobbed them to me half the time. Because these are people who potentially, what's involved in DEI, right? You had people who were victims of racism, of bigotry, of sexual violence, of bullying. There was very little that I was empowered to do to address it. And I tried very hard to do what I could. And the reality is that as a Black woman in the SCA, I have a bevy of anecdotes of my own. The racial slurs, the uncomfortable comments. I received death threats more than once over the course of working in this office. There's a lot of people who don't feel like there's a space for them in the SCA. And these are people who sometimes have invested decades of their time, of their money, people whose relationships are built around the SCA. And they look around and they don't feel like they can belong. And that's an enormous problem. And for me personally, to take the time and work and research and the emotional labor and put it in and kind of have it resolved this way has been really difficult. So that's kind of the state of things as I know them. And I am sure that things will change, and I have seen a lot of change. But what I really want to make clear is that it is important to have top-down change. And I think that it is important that we advocate for that, because there are a lot of things that can only be addressed by the highest tiers of the organization for leadership, modeling the kind of behavior that we want the rest of the SCA to engage in. And I'm going to stop because I've been talking a lot. I'm going to cry. So I'm going to let someone else talk.
No, you know, Jessica, and one thing I want to note for people watching, Jessica had already tried to do succession planning. So this was not a, okay, your time's up, goodbye. She had been trying to get a successor to be able to train and pass knowledge like we do. And all of a sudden the rug's pulled under. So think about, you know, having a position, doing your damnedest. I don't know if y'all heard, but I'm going to reiterate, death threats. And then all of a sudden, thank you, no thank you, goodbye, access denied. This is not uncommon in the DEI world, unfortunately. And when we talk about top-down organizationally, you were not set up for success. And I'm going to say it, I'm putting words on Jessica because I watched this shit. Jessica was not involved in the meetings from the beginning. So your DEI folk, they are at every meeting because equity, inclusion, and diversity is in everything. Your officer, your, you know, board member, whatever the case may be, when it comes to equity, needs to be in every discussion, needs to be in every meeting, involved in every process, involved in decision making. The SCA put, I should rewind and say, the BOD put limitations and restrictions on what can be done just by doing that and not including the voices into the room. It was not practicing inclusion. And what you have as a result is someone who is asked to do all of this invisible labor. Here, you go take these cases, but you can't really do anything about it. And so the labor becomes working within these restrictions against barriers that oftentimes are internal. So it's this added stress of fighting against the people who put you in office, who put you in this position, who you thought really want to change, only to turn around to find out that they didn't really want it, because if they had, they would have done it right the first time. And I will personally say that on more than one occasion, I offered the BOD the opportunity for free to that I would provide DEI courses to get people level set, and never heard anything, because I didn't want, at the time, Gigi was on the board and Jessica was in her position, didn't want them to have to blur the lines. I offered DEI classes. I charge for those. I'm not going to tell you how much, because I don't really have that much money, but I charge for those classes. They are expensive to go get those, and they were offered for free. And I didn't hear anything. That tells me all I need to know. And I'm going to try not and rant and rave, but I'm going to anyways. So actually, I'm sorry, not sorry. Gigi.
So last week or the week before, Trevor Noah ended his talk show. And he's someone that a lot of people look to as someone who's politically savvy, who's witty, who understands how the world works. And he's able to use that information along with humor to really put on a great show for people. And during his last night, he took the time to give a special shout out to Black women. And he said, I've often been credited with being so smart and having these great ideas. And I want you to know who teaches me. Who do you think has shaped me? Who do you think has informed me? Who do you think has nourished me? He talked about his mom, and he talked about other Black women in his life, activists and writers who helped him. And he said, if you truly want to know what to do or how to do it, or the best way or the most equitable way, talk to Black women. And the reason he said that is because we have always been at the bottom of the totem pole. So if you want to talk to someone about how to do things equitably, it's to talk to the person who's always been left out and who's gotten to see how everyone else gets a piece of the pie, but not them. And he said, Black women are the reasons why I'm here, and I am so grateful to them. Now, I led with that because at the very least, the corporate office and the board should have told that to Jessica when she stepped down after she had stayed past her term in order to work out some type of way to bring someone else on and transfer knowledge to them. She was staying past her term. But not only did she not get that, we're grateful, thank you, you did a great job. But she got shaft. She got the shaft. I'm angry about it. I'm angry about it. I will say that on my last day with the board, I was told that I was an exemplary board member. I was told that I was an exemplary board member the day I resigned. But I didn't feel like I had been treated like an exemplary board member all the days up until the day I resigned. And I will say that Jessica was an exemplary corporate DEI officer. And I know for a fact she did not feel that way. And I will say that there have been people who came before Jessica and I who were not Black or women who didn't do their job, who did half of their job, who did a third of their job. And they were not treated the same way she and I were. But I want to go back to successes, right? I know that Jessica was able to update Corpora. She was able to develop trainings for officers. She was able to help us update the bullying harassment policy. She was able to give support for kingdoms who had DEI officers and DEI council. She also had a network of people who were working in DEI at the various levels, even baronial levels, that she was able to give support to. So she took us from nothing to this foundation that is, I mean, the next person who comes in just has to keep it going. That's really all they have to do. And I'm thankful that she was the person they chose because she did a great job. She has a full-time job and she did another full-time job for the SCA. And I think that is one of the reasons that she has been recognized as a Pelican for the amount of service that she has given and the diligent service that she gave. But there is not a way to give Jessica enough to compensate for the disrespect that I saw her have to go through and the job that she did. And she went through it and she still did her job. And she still left the DEI office in a better place than she found it. So I just want to say thank you for being you and for doing the job that you did. The next person in line will have a much better time because of the foundation that you laid.
And Gigi, you did the work too. So I want to make sure that we celebrate your successes. You've started some classes. And as a matter of fact, I was in one of your DEI 101 classes, one of the very first that you did. I went to that and I was like, we need this. We need this. And through, all this trickled down and people starting to talk about DEI, I can only speak for Ontario because that's where I'm from. We had crowns that changed kingdom law. A DEI committee was formed. We're in the process right now of updating the principality laws. All of these things and more were the product and I'm going to say inspiration, because y'all were an inspiration to me at least. And I know many others, but Gigi, you really started that and paved way for Jessica to come into that spot. And the work that you both did has made such an impact. I am specifically thinking about the, edict or the rule, I don't know what you want to call it, but the change to have oral history included and considered in everything that we do. And with that and the change to non-Western European, we now have people of color who are integrating their ethnicities, their race, their culture into their personas where they didn't feel they had opportunity to. And this would not have happened before. This absolutely would not have happened before. I'm surprised that that got passed. I don't know how you did it, Jessica, but I mean, people are having the discussions. Like, I'm hoping that the folks who have been working towards change continue to work towards change. Jessica mentioned that it takes top down. If the top isn't doing shit, it needs to be grassroots. And we'll talk a little bit later about what you can do on the ground level, because everybody can do something. There are many opportunities to continue to make change, for folks who are future crowns, future cornets, seneschals, any office, peers, any member, any populist member can make a change, and it makes a difference. I think about the changes to language, more gender neutral and customaries. I mean, this is some big shit y'all like really got going. And I know there were others involved, so I don't want to discredit anyone, but from where I was sitting, I didn't see Black women. I didn't see Black women involved. And so these two really have been my inspiration. They're why this show really moved forward. They're the reason I still continue to play, because it's fucking lonely. I mean, when you don't feel like you have a place, but y'all did a lot. And I hope that you don't forget that as you move into your next journeys. And I can't wait for 12th night to have some drinks with you and celebrate.
And I will say, let's just, the scientist in me wants to talk about a little bit about what the literature says, right?
Yeah.
What we understand as far as like behavioral neuroscience, how people behave in groups, right? When white supremacy is threatened, that is when you get tokenizing, gaslighting, isolation, blaming, and then inevitably an exiting, whether you're forced out or you just leave because of all of the above, right? And that is one reason why you don't see me on the SCA webpage anymore. I knew I was being tokenized. And so I said, take me off of the website. I don't want any picture of me there, because you're not going to treat me this way and then use me as like a poster child for your diversity. Because even though I am here, that doesn't mean that you don't have problems. And if you're not willing to address those problems, then I don't want to participate. That's tokenization. Then you get gaslighting. Well, we never said we were going to actually include the DEI officer in X, Y, or Z. Or we never said we were actually going to have trainings for all of our officers. And we never said the board was actually going to have trainings. Like, there are things that happen in conversations that people, when they're not uncomfortable, and it completely changes when they are uncomfortable. And they're like, no, we don't want to do any of that. We just want to. So you go over there and do your job in isolation, and we'll stay over here and finish our job, but we don't want to. That's a very lonely place to be. There's also blaming that happens, right? You talk about equity and inclusion too much. I was told that I was looking like a one-trick pony as far as equity and inclusion. Me, I have more than one degree. I have worked on billion-dollar projects for the federal government. I have done so much in my career. I'm definitely not a one-trick pony. And in any sense of that phrase, that is not me. I have so much to offer a team, right? But someone decided to tell me that because they were so uncomfortable with me talking about equity and inclusion, which is the reason the board contacted me in the first place, to become the interim equity and inclusion officer. So they knew I had this expertise. They didn't have it. Comments, that is what you called me for. But now you're a one-trick pony. That was very hurtful. And that happened at the beginning of my tenure. So I stayed through that, right? Because I still wanted to do my job. I still wanted to help the SCA. But the blaming is a problem, because you feel like the blaming, the gaslighting, because you're like, did I not understand what you called me here for? Did I get it wrong? Is it me? And I am the kind of person, I am humble enough to think, well, is it me? Did I really misunderstand? Also, I'm autistic. So I'm like, did I misunderstand? Because I misunderstand a lot. Like, did I just not read the room? So when you have a white supremacist problem and you try to address it, there are these road bumps that happen. I am hopeful that the SCA is able to move past these corporate road bumps and get back on track. And if it has to be a white person that does it, fine. If you don't want to hear it from a Black woman, if it is untenable to hear it from me, then let a white guy tell you, if that is who you can hear it from, because it needs to be told and it needs to be accepted. And we need to deal with it and move on, because I want us to exist as an organization. So I just don't want to see stagnation, right? I don't want to see Jessica not in the office. We don't have anyone in the office, and then we just don't have an office anymore. I really don't want to see that part. And that is like the other end of that spectrum: tokenization, gaslighting, isolation, blaming, exiting, and then stagnation. I really hope we're able to move past that. And Jessica, did you have some things to say?
So I appreciate and love you both so much, and you are such inspirations to me. And I could enumerate them anyways, but we'd be here all night, because I cannot say enough about the work that you both have done. But I do want to make it clear that when you have multiple Black women pointing out similar issues, we are not imagining things. There is an actual issue here. And I want to do two things. I really want to talk about kind of the general idea beyond the SCA, far beyond the SCA.
Wait, can I interrupt you?
Yes.
Jessica's going to be eloquent, but I have already had a glass of wine, so I'm just going to say, you have only had 2 Black women at the corporate level, and both of those Black women are telling you that they experience racism at that level. That is racism. That is misogyny. You have a problem. You need to fix it. So go ahead, Jessica.
So in many organizations, there are a lot of articles. I can give people sources if people want to reach out to me. There is somewhat of a blueprint for how this works. There's usually some sort of event that prompts change, right? We could point to some of the racially motivated events within the SCA. We could point to some of the stuff that happened in the modern world. And after that, you see corporations trying to effectively address potential shortcomings and negative feedback with large steps, promises of what they will do to move forward within the space of DEI. I think everyone here remembers this. I don't think that I'm saying anything particularly controversial. We all remember kind of the big outpouring after George Floyd, and how many corporations were promising money and education and everything else. Now, there is a wave. There is. And there are a lot of people who mean very, very well. But as time passes, as the distance grows for the people who are unaffected, that motivation lessens, and the eagerness to address the issues becomes resentment that these are things that they have to change. Now I have to do more work. I have to change the way I think. I have to add more to my day. Meanwhile, generally speaking, marginalized people are sitting here going, this is our everyday. This is our lives. We tried to tell you. You said you would look at this. You promised us. And the chasm continues to grow until finally, the things that people are asking for, the change, the issues, the constant, you promised us, where is the work, becomes too much. And then that's shelved. And it's usually done very quietly. I am not a quiet person. I think anyone who knows me will agree with that. And I genuinely love this organization. Some of my best friends, I only know because of the SCA. There have been so many people who desperately want to do better and just didn't know how. And I have seen so much change, so many conversations that would never have happened. So many people going outside of their comfort zone to make other people's lives fit. I'm not willing to just give up and walk away. And I'm not willing to be quiet about it. We all deserve better. We are speaking to you as Black women, but I promise you, and I can point, the work in DEI is not just about people of color. It's not just about women. It's not just about folks who identify as queer. It's about everyone. It is about people who come into this organization who have small children and want to be able to participate with their friends. It's about our aging population who needs consideration. It's about accessibility and disability. If you look at the classes and if you look at the voices that we've tried to bring forward, you will see that DEI is something that benefits all of us, and it harms all of us when it is ignored because the organization suffers as a whole. There is no one who can afford to ignore this. So I do want to really briefly kind of talk about a little bit of clarification. One of the things that I think is a rallying cry within the SCA is that the leadership at the top is not very transparent. And I agree with the opacity of kind of how the structure works. So I want to make it very clear. The board is comprised of 7 people chosen from the SCA populace by unanimous vote. There is one elect that is in place. Every 6 months, someone leaves and someone comes on. The president is not on the board. The society seneschal, not a board member. Corporate officers are not board members. So you've got the board, you've got your officers. I will say that the corporate officers that I have worked with have become some of my closest friends. And it was a slug together through a lot in the last few years. And they all worked very hard. And I treasure my relationships with them a lot. And there have been BOD members that I've worked with very well. So when I talk about the BOD, I need you to understand that I am talking about an entity. I am talking about a framework that has been in place for decades, that I would encourage you to examine. And I would encourage you to analyze whether the framework that we have in place will suit us best moving forward, or if we should start thinking about other ways we can better integrate DEI into the way that we create a board. I will say that Nina has stated already, DEI is an intrinsic part of everything. It needs to be central. We need to make sure it is part of every process. It's very difficult to make it part of existing processes without constructing that process a little bit differently. So I'd like people to really be aware how the structure works, read corpora, understand the rules in place, and let's advocate for actionable change.
All right, I'm going to say what she won't. The BOD is broken. There's no accountability. If something happens within the BOD between BOD members, there's no way to do restorative justice. There's no way to hold people accountable, as I said, and I know I'm repeating myself, but accountability is huge. Is there equity and inclusion in hiring, in the screening of applicants? A unanimous vote, that is not equity and inclusion. That is a bunch of people saying, yeah, sure, we agree. Like, that does not work. If we want change, we almost need, an interview process that also includes questions about DEI. What are you planning to do with DEI? How are you planning to contribute? How do you see the vision of DEI for your area? Like, we need to be asking those questions. If a change is going to happen, we have to restructure. This is not working. And I say that openly, one, as someone who hasn't been on the BOD, but who has many friends who've been in the BOD after they've played for years and years and years and had to take a break. There are some people that after serving from the BOD, they have never come back. And we're talking about cis, het, white men. So it's not working. Like, we have to be honest with ourselves and say, what is going to be the most productive? How are we going to make changes? The one thing that always gets in my craw, I have to bring it up because I'm going to. There have been so many crowns in Ontario that have been supportive of the work. Our past two reigns, and I can name a couple others. And DEI can't be one of those things where a new crown comes in and decides to write it out. Like, that's not how shit works. That is ridiculous. Like, how can you have someone come in and say, no, we no longer want gender equality. We don't want inspirations. Sorry, nixing that. Like, who does that? Who does that? We have to start from the top and restructure and think about how we do these things. Now, I know a lot of amazing knights who engage in DEI and amazing people across the board anyways. But I also know some people that if they were to win a coronet, I might have to stop playing for a little bit. I was on the council when we had a crown that wasn't supportive of DEI work, and it sucks. And we had to wait for a change to get some DEI stuff passed. That is because there's no support from the top. You can't have one person out of the entire group being solely dedicated to DEI. I think Ontario is one of the more successful. Again, I mean, people can counter me, but having been in Ontario and seeing the work that has happened firsthand, I think we've set a really great example, but there's still a ton of work to do. And part of that is looking at the top and saying, how are we going to benefit the people that we are here to protect, the people who want to play this game, and especially the people who are being most harmed. And it has to start there. Grassroots is great. We get shit done. I mean, we work around the barriers. We should not have to work within the barriers though. And that's the piece that's missing. Like, yes, for grassroots, so many grassroots. I think every kingdom or almost every kingdom has a DEI officer, if I'm not correct. I mean, that's some shit. But where's the support from the top? And again, like Jessica, thank you for pointing that out. Like, I'm not talking about board members. BOD is an entity, right? Because as you said, the Society Seneschal, I had an opportunity to meet her. She's fantastic. But nobody can do it alone. And the structure is not there to support it because accountability is not there.
But I will say.
No, Gigi, it's not there.
I will add that it doesn't matter if you're fantastic at your job. If there is a deficit, if there's an ignorance, right, as to how to actualize equity and inclusion in your job. And if you have a corporate officer there to help with that, but they are not allowed to interface with you and your job, then that's the problem. Because then you have the equity and inclusion information, the warehouse of knowledge in the silo. And then you have a president and you have a society seneschal and you have a board who don't have that knowledge, who are ignorant. But the knowledge is over here in a silo. They can't be separate. So, you've heard a lot tonight, and you're probably angry too. And we appreciate your emotions and maybe even your sympathy. But what we really want to ask you to do is to take action. So we want you to write the board and the president and the society seneschal and ask them to model equity and inclusion at their level. That is a way to demand accountability. So how do they do that? Well, in operating within their job descriptions, how are they modeling being fair, having everyone who needs to be at the table, and in their processes and policies and procedures, are they being equitable and inclusion? That is a conversation they need to have at every meeting. And I already told you what they told me when I tried to have that conversation at every meeting. I was told they were tired of hearing it. I was told that I was a one-trick pony. I was told that I was being emotional, and I was told that I should shut up. So they don't want to hear it from me. Let them hear it from you, that you would like them to model equity and inclusion at their level, just like we're doing at the kingdom level. Antir is modeling equity and inclusion in the way that they are dealing with kingdom law and the way that they are dealing with building events. Event stewards are thinking about this now. The peerage, the councils are talking about this in their meetings. So they're modeling it at this level. We also want it modeled at the top. We want them to show us they are walking the walk, not just talking the talk. We want accountability. There is no way for us to demand accountability except by writing letters. So write the letters and ask for it. Because the way they used to operate, the way they have operated up until now, is outdated. And there should not be the thought process or the paradigm that no one can tell us what to do because we're the bod. Because they're not a peerage circle. They're a board of directors. They have a job description. Ask them to do the job as written in corpora. And in corpora, I'm sorry, Jessica, I'm going to talk a little bit more and then I'm going to go to you. In corpora, we have equity and inclusion written, right? Our core values are in corpora. That is one thing that they asked Jessica to do, to put them in corpora. So we want our officers and our board to uphold corpora just like they ask our kingdoms and our baronies to do. Everyone should be doing it. Everyone. Okay.
So I could not agree more. I would like people to write in. I would like people to use the mechanism by which their voice can be heard. But there is, again, within corpora, and I just looked it up to be sure, corpora 7A2, your crown can create greater officers as they need. It is possible to do this on a kingdom level. DEI should be a greater office. This is my opinion as a person who works professionally within DEI. If you do not have a DEI person in the room, if no one knows what it is, there is no one there to highlight when it is necessary to talk about these issues. I want to be very clear. When I worked as a DEI officer for the SCA, I did not participate in sanctioned discussions. I was not part of the decision-making process for anything related to investigation. I think that it is important that we remember we don't know what we don't know. If you don't have a background in DEI, you have no way to identify things like dog whistles, unconscious bias. I mean, threats can be missed. So many problematic issues that just there's no opportunity to really address. And I do want to make it clear, the dog whistles are pretty much everywhere. When you hear people talk about DEI and people who work within DEI and they bring up things like communication issues, when they say things like, they're not a good personality fit. How many times is that a reaction to being uncomfortable with the information that's being presented to you? Because it is uncomfortable. We've talked about that before. It is hard to hear that you have been complicit in other people's harm. It is. But there is no other way forward than through. And so I'm asking people to really be aware of where DEI efforts are being invalidated and push for better DEI work at all levels. Because we can do that and we should do that. It is the only way we can move forward as an organization.
So in addition to asking the corporate office and the board to model equity and inclusion at their level and their policies and procedures and practices, you can also write to your seneschal, your kingdom seneschal, and your crown, and ask them to make a DEI officer a greater office for your kingdom. Kingdoms can do this. The corporate office has not done this yet, and the board has not decided what they're going to do apparently yet, but kingdoms can do it. If your kingdom is ready, if your kingdom's at a place where they are progressive enough, and I've already been drinking. So some kingdoms may not be ready, but if your kingdom is one that you think is ready, ask your crown to do it, because they can. Ask them to take a stand for equity and inclusion by making a greater DEI office for your kingdom.
And I want to say that, when Jessica talks about DEI being hard, like, I've made mistakes in my career. Like, and I do DEI for a living. I get paid to do this, and I still make mistakes and put my foot in it. Just an example, so y'all know that we all make mistakes. In a lot of my previous trainings that I was doing at work, I had reference to blind spots. We need to know what our blind spots so we can address them. That is very ableist language. It was actually pointed out to me by my boss as she was reviewing my presentation. Now, my boss is awesome, and it was like, Nina, seriously, did you read this? I'm like, oh, yes. And I haven't done it since. Made a mistake, realized what had been done, and do better. So we all make mistakes. We are not asking anyone to be perfect. Mistakes will be absolutely made. What we are asking is that you push through when those mistakes are made. That you push through when you have some, jerkwad making a comment on Facebook who's like totally out of left field. We all know. We've read the comments. I'm thinking of some in particular, but I'm not going to bring it up here. Push through that, because DEI work is hard. Push through that because you want to be the change and you want to see something different. It is not going to be easy. And these two women here, Black women doing it at the big level, let them be your example. That's all I want to say. Well, no. And the other thing was, Jessica, not everybody's heard the term dog whistle. So can you give a couple of examples of what folks should listen for and kind of clue into?
Sure. Yeah. So when we talk about dog whistling, it's kind of like, if people are slightly more familiar with the term shibboleth, I'll explain that too. When we have kind of language that will be readily identifiable to some groups, but not to others, right? We can think of it as in-group language. It can often sound potentially passive-aggressive or even innocent, but it is generally conveying a message to other people in the in-group. And when we talk about it in kind of a racial capacity, or when we talk about it within kind of the work that I am most familiar with, we're talking about sending a signal to problematic individuals that this is a harbor for them. Usually through using otherwise innocent or otherwise not readily offensive language, terms, symbols, etc. So when people talk to you about things like, oh, that's a symbol related to a white supremacist group, right? There's a big temptation to go, this has nothing to do with that. This is about me, blah, blah, blah. But the people who are part of those groups do use these symbols to signal to one another. So we need to be cognizant, if for no other reason than you are inviting the wrong person into your house. So dog whistling with terms like urban youth, with terms like inner city, you are talking about a specific set of people. But you don't want to say that you're talking about a specific set of people because that is transparently problematic. And that is why I say to please be aware when people talk about things like communication issues with one of the few people of color, when people talk about not a good personality fit with someone who's bringing up issues that they don't want to hear.
And in my experience, things like you're being emotional. Things like, oh, you're passionate about this subject. Things like, what about the other side? For me, have been indicators that the person does not realize they are saying they want to uphold white supremacy. Because in equity and inclusion, there is no other side. There's no other side. And emotions are a human thing. Like all of us have them. And what was the other one? I can't think of it now. But yeah, I appreciate Jessica going over some of the dog whistles that she's heard. And if you guys are watching right now and you want to put ones that you've heard into the chat, just so people will be aware that that is one. Because like I'm always learning new ones. There are some things that go over my head. So if you guys want to discuss that in the chat, please do.
I do also want to make it clear, just demographically speaking, the SCA is very homogenously white. I don't think this is news to anyone. It is extremely likely that the next DEI officer will be a white person. And that does not mean that they cannot do a great job in the role by any means. But I think it is important to remember that the work is different for a person of color. It is impossible to separate our personal investment from the kind of work that is being done. For me, this wasn't just a job. This meant a lot, which is part of why it was so difficult for it to resolve the way that it did. And I would be lying if I didn't say that I had some concerns, because while things may sound more palatable coming from a member of a dominant group, the number of times I brought up an issue only to have someone go, that would have never occurred to me. While I appreciate their honesty, that is a terrifying thing to hear. It is very scary to have to continuously remind people that you are a person, that your identity is relevant. That is very hard. And I am personally a little concerned. And I don't know that if we don't have more voices, if we don't have people able to present their authentic experiences to the leadership, that we will fall into the very serious issue of not recognizing them at all in any way. And underserved populations will continue to go unheard.
And I think that's the piece that I want to reiterate that Jessica said. It is likely, if not the next, down the line, the next DEI officer is going to be white. We absolutely need to support 100%. And I hope whoever takes that spot reaches out to the communities most harmed by inequities. Because again, we're talking about inclusion. I don't care. I'm past the point of caring in any aspect of the work that I do, that it's going to take, someone with more degrees or someone who's white or a man for people to hear it better, I don't care. I just want things to change. And if you are taking that position, you have an obligation and a responsibility to connect with the people who are most harmed by inequities and make sure that you are listening to. If anything, man, we've just done, I don't know how many shows at this point, all with people of color. And oftentimes you hear the same thing. Like, go back and watch the episodes. I've just started saying, go back and watch the episodes, because it gets old saying the same thing every time. But you hear the same thing. There are themes within what people are saying. There are themes around what people are witnessing, what people are experiencing, and pay attention, especially if you want to make a change. Pay attention. Gigi.
So again, you can take action. You can write your seneschal and crowns and ask them to take a stand for equity and inclusion by making a greater DEI officer for your kingdom. You can write the president, the seneschal, and the board and ask them to truly support DEI by upholding corpora, modeling equity and inclusion at their level, being more accountable in their office, and when there is a new DEI officer, treating them with the respect that that office deserves. We have society officers and we have corporate officers. There are not very many corporate officers. The president is a corporate officer. The society seneschal is a corporate officer. And the DEI officer was a corporate officer. They should be as respected and as included and as asked for their professional opinion as the president and the society seneschal. So you can do those three things. Ask your kingdom to make a DEI officer and make it a greater office, and ask the board to model equity and inclusion, and ask them to include the next DEI officer in every room, in the room where it happens, right? We all watched Hamilton. Put them in the room where it happens. Do not separate them and put them in a silo somewhere else, because the people in the room where it happens don't have that expertise. They don't. I was in that room. They don't have the expertise. They need the information. They don't need to make the decision. They need to advise the decision makers. And the decision makers can still choose to make whatever decision they want, but with the information, with all the information. So those three things.
I also, really quick, I'm sorry.
No.
I want to make it clear that I am happy to continue to help educate, to help guide actionable behavior. All of my classes are still easily locatable on the SCA sites. I am still happy to do that. When I was elevated, I took the title of teacher, and I'm not going to stop. It was very hard deciding what to do next, when so much of my SCA experience felt connected to what has become a very traumatic thing for me. Shit, I wasn't gonna cry. I'm not going to. I can do this. But I am not going to be chased out of another space, because this is my SCA too. And so if people still need information, if people don't know how to take things from theory to practice, you can reach out to me and we can talk.
I will tentatively offer the same. No, I'm joking. I think so. None of us are going away. We still want to see DEI. We have to, like, we want to stay here, and we're still willing to do the work. Gigi, I want to take what recommendations you said about what people can do at the board level, but I want to bring it to a local level. So things you can do personally on a local level. And I'll give some examples. And again, I'm talking about on tier, but that's where I live and that's where I'm seeing cool things. For instance, I believe it was Finn Grimm, Master Finn Grimm, who started the court signs here in Ontario. So these are signs that have the award written. So in court, for people who can't hear, whether it's because they're sitting in the back, they are hard of hearing, they are deaf, we have signs that go across so people can still be engaged in court. So it'll list the award that someone was just given. We just started that in the summits. Very simple to do. Ana de la Serra did some beautiful banners and posters about, welcome to Ontario, everyone is welcome, hate is not tolerated. Reach out to her and get the posters. Every barony, in my opinion, every barony, every shire, every canton, every branch, everywhere up the top should have those along with the bullying and harassment policy at your gate. Have someone who is ready to welcome diverse folks into the SCA, who is comfortable working with diverse populations of people, who can speak about the DEI work that is being done, right? There's, what else? Little things like gender neutral customary. Like, I know it takes a long time to go through all of that, but that is a huge change, right? And these are things you can do on a local level.
Oh, and there is a class called Inclusivity for Event Planning. SCA YouTube, it's on the DEI Facebook page. There are a lot of things to be done that are low to no cost that you could implement even on an event or practice level. Large print site programs, reserving the first row of court so that people can participate who might not be able to hear or see from further back. Gold key diversification, making sure that the garb you have available represents the bevy of rich cultures that we welcome and want to represent. I think for so many marginalized communities in the SCA, there's a little bit of an open wound. And a lot of us view attempts and efforts and good faith work as a little bit of a balm. And I think it helps a lot. And so please do not think, this is just this, I can only do this. All of that matters. All of it matters. If you are the reason that one person looks in an event and goes, you know what, I probably can do that, then you've made a huge difference to someone's experience. It's big, it's important, and it matters.
I want to give another shout out to Glenn Dufin, who's a new barony. My partner went to Glenn Dufin and said they walked in and automatically felt welcome as a queer person. She is not a person of color, but I'm queer, she's queer, and walked in and said it was one of the best events she's been to in a long time because she walked in and felt welcome, didn't have to worry about identity, didn't have to worry about safety, all of those things that we take for granted. So it doesn't have to be anything big other than just creating a welcoming atmosphere, recognizing that there's more than one type of person, right? Like, there are things that can be done on every single level. And I think I want to hammer home that what we are asking for is not just, we need people to take action. Like, it can't just be supporting during Black History Month. It can't be supporting during Pride Month. Like, the work happens outside of that. Like, you can't come and do a protest and then go home and sit down on the couch and watch TV. That's not how it works. because some of us don't have that option. And so we're asking you to practice active engagement in the work. That's the difference between anti-racist and non-racist. You can be a non-racist and just say, I'm not racist. I love Black people. Anti-racist is someone who actually does the work. And more importantly, does the work when shit gets hard.
Well,
that is what we are asking for.
I'm going to disagree. I think there's either racist or anti-racist. Like, you may not realize that you are being racist by not doing anything, but there is only racist or anti-racist, in my opinion. And I don't think I would have said that 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the things that I've experienced over the past 3.5 years have led me to take a firmer stand on that. Because there's either harm or protecting me from harm, right? Racism is harm, and anti-racism is protecting me from harm. And if you were willing to say nothing, then that is racist.
No, I can definitely get on board with that. It's bystander intervention. If you don't do anything and you don't say anything, you are condoning the behavior and you are complicit in what is happening.
And I also want to say that I also am hopeful. I'm hopeful that the SCA
Absolutely.
can pass this. Some people may think, well, after what you've experienced, why wouldn't you leave the SCA? Why wouldn't you stop historical costuming? If I had to stop everything that was potentially harmful to me, I would not do anything except stay in my house. I wouldn't go to the doctor. I wouldn't go to the gym. I wouldn't go to the store, right? I wouldn't have gone into higher education. I would have no hobbies. I'm not willing to let go of things that bring me some modicum of joy in this world that is a white supremacist world. But I will ask for support from people who are also fed up with the way things go. So I do have hope based on my experiences in some places in the SCA. I have met people who fill me with optimism, but I also have boundaries. And so I will set those boundaries with the people who fill me with pessimism, because I don't want to be a pessimist. Like, that's not my personality. So for those people who have asserted things that I know are problematic, I'm just going to set a boundary with them. I'm not going to interact with them. I'm not going to be an officer with those people or a board member with those people, etc. Right? And I will continue to try to do good where I can do good. And I will also say that there have been people who have asserted that if you talk about your experience at the corporate level and the board, you could be R&D'd. And that is true. That is something that I have heard more than one person say. But I believe in speaking truth to power. And I believe in speaking truth about power. Any power I get, I'm going to use to lift other people up and to give them a voice and to shine light where light needs to be shined. And if by me talking about my experiences leads me to be investigated, then so be it. Because if Galen of Bristol can talk about how Black people are immoral and still be in the SCA, then I should be able to talk about my experiences with misogynoir and racism and still be in the SCA, because I'm not putting anyone down by doing it. If you didn't want me to talk about it, you shouldn't have done it.
I do want to highlight, we talk about allyship a lot on this show and what it looks like. And Gigi touched on a great point. A lot of people have been very supportive of me throughout the last few years. And a lot of people who identify as allies, who are genuinely doing their best to be good allies, say things like, you know, I'll walk away, I'll quit, I'll leave. Or they do things like, I'm not going to talk to that person. I'm just going to block them. I'm going to not do anything. You know, we're just going to, it's too much. And the problem is that if I tell you about my burden and you go, oh, and leave, you're not sharing it with me. You're leaving me with it. You are, in fact, increasing it, because now there is one less person that I can depend on within the organization. I am not asking for your rage. I'm not, I'll take it, but that's not what I want. I want people to look around at the organization and recognize the way we could do better and then work to help make it better. And I'm upset. I'm incredibly upset. I'll be upset for probably the rest of my life about this. But when it comes down to it, I'm not going to walk away, because I know that the only way things change is because people care enough to change it. So I'm going to ask you not to do that. I'm going to ask you not to have that moment. I'm going to ask you to be good allies and to come in and to take some of our burden away.
Yes.
And it is extremely possible that I will get R&D. And like, that is what it is. I'm very loud, like I said. I was never going to not talk about what I thought needed to be better. And believing that things could be better is what got me here to begin with. So that's not going to change.
We would not have it any other way. Yeah, definitely don't storm the castle, but do break down the system. Do break down the system, right?
Do good, do better where you are. That still matters, right? You don't have to be a corporate officer or society officer to do good and have it matter. So I think what we're all asking for you to do is do what you can where you are. If that is not writing a letter and it's just doing the best you can where you are and standing up for anything that you see that happens that isn't okay and saying, hey, that's not okay, we shouldn't do that, and then moving on, then do that. And I'll be proud of you for doing that. That's a lot.
Like, we see it, y'all. I mean, it comes across our Facebook pages. We hear it from other people. We see it. Even if someone has made a mistake and they really freaking stepped in it, I look back and I'm like, yeah, but one, they're learning, they admitted their mistake, and they're going to do better. And I've seen that pattern with them. Like, they have consistently tried to do better. And, you know, it can be in very small ways. That is what I notice. That is how I judge character. What have you been doing in the past? Is it a consistent pattern of the missing stare? Right? Because I ain't got time for that shit. I did want to also note, as we start wrapping up and ending this, it's really difficult to be on this show. It really is. Both Gigi and Jessica are putting it out there and taking a chance. And we talked prior to the show about, you know, possible repercussions. And this shit had to be said. We can't change if we don't talk about it. And that is the mistake and trap we fall into. We have to have the discussions and continue to have discussions and make those small changes. All three of us love the SCA. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. I would not do this show if I didn't love this area and this community. There's no way. Every time we do a show, it is a lot of freaking work. It's a lot of emotional toil. And it does good. We're doing good. We hope that everybody watching can take something from this. And tomorrow, do something. If it's reading an article, I don't care. Read the article, post a summary, put it on your wall, right? Like, do the thing. Now, granted, we don't want anyone to start being performative, like follow up that article with something you can do, but do one thing. That's all we're asking. I know it seems like a lot, and it is hard work, but damn it, we're tired. I want to retire. If you stuck with it this far, Friday, January 13th, at 12th night, we will be interviewing live with Youssef, Baron Youssef. That same night, Friday, January 13th, there will be a Voices of Color gathering for Scadians of Color to do a meet and greet. We will have a section of the bar in front of the fireplace, you know where I will be at. And then January 17th, we have a panel on intergenerational trauma. Like we all said, we're not going away. There are still people that have things to say. Hopefully this will be a place where we can get them all up here and really start highlighting not only the stories that continue to be shared throughout the Scadians of Color community, but help people get something out of that, help some of the lessons get out there so people can make the change. So thank you all for watching. Again, we want to stay, we want things to change, and it starts with everyone. I know how cheesy that just sounded. I take that back. Just do something. All right, y'all. Have a good night.